All right, cool. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another ACIM call. Stands for A Course in Miracles, in case anybody doesn't know. Really, on this call, we like to talk about bringing your financial and your spiritual freedom together. We want to bring it into one place, and a lot of times we get confused because there's this like idea that duality exists, and we've bought into the fact that duality exists. And one of the things that the course says is that everything is an idea. That means an idea, and the law of ideas and the law of expansion is that anything given attention, and the more you share it, the more you give it away, the more it becomes real for you. And it doesn't mean that it's the truth. See, we live, and one of our problems is that we live by our truths, right? Like, this is how everything works. This is how money works. This is how you make money. This is how investments work. We live by so many things that we think are truths. Just pay attention simply to the things that come out of your mouth throughout the day, right? Like, what am I saying that I think is the truth when it's simply a perception? And studying the course is simply understanding what is a perception and what is an illusion. An illusion sometimes creates a trigger for people as well. They're like, what do you mean? You're calling my perception an illusion? So what is really a perception, or a perception, and what is the truth? So how do we distinguish that? That becomes our question. And if we go out throughout the day, just reminding ourselves and being aware that a perception isn't the truth, and that what I'm saying right now may not be the truth. Okay, so even what I'm saying right now, it's a perception, because it could change. Anything that can change is a perception. And we can say what we want to say, and we can express our feelings and our opinions, but we must know that it's not the truth. So that way we can remain open. Our minds can be open. So, for example, somebody may say, my mom or my sister or my brother, they did something to me, right? Or we had a fight, somebody screwed me over. There's something that we feel in our past that we were hurt by. Right? My friend was telling me, one of the top sales guys at his company was like, you will never be a sales guy. You're always going to be this IT nerd. And he carried it on for 20 years. It's not the truth. But if you live it like the truth and you're unaware that you're living it as the truth, then it's going to have you. And now you live into this dream and you buy into everything that is of the dream. The cost, the vision of one world costs you the vision of another. There are two worlds in your mind. One is heaven. The other is hell. There is no in between. And every time you believe there is duality and that there is some other body, or you judge anything, right, from your perspective, like I decide that this is right, this is wrong, this is true, this is false. If I decide that, then it's going to be coming from this small I, this personality, this identification that Alex really is. Okay, so from that space, you lose sight of heaven every time. When you don't respond with love to anything, you lose sight, and it costs you that world. And there is no in between. It's one or the other. Everything that is heaven, all the peace that you're ever looking for, it is literally upside down of what this world presents to us. And this is what we discover. This is the conversation we talk about here. The stuff that we believe in and that we buy into in our lives in this 3D world. Okay, the stuff that we buy into in this 3D world, it has us lose sight of who we truly are and what reality with a capital R is. The heaven that's actually here right now. We lose sight of it. Now, there are moments where we are just so clear, and because we are thinking, we are outwardly focused, and we just want somebody else to uh, excel or have their goals happen or experience love. When we focus outwards, there's some sort of clarity that comes, and we feel like, yeah, everything it feels exactly right. And there's a lot of trust in the space, and you're like, yeah, God's got my back, and everything seems to be going well. Those are moments of clarity where you experience the flow that you're supposed to be in, right? There is a machine. God is basically running the entire thing, and you are simply playing a speck of a role. But if you're playing the role, see, last week we talked about you can't but play the role. Every single person, all of your brothers and sisters, everybody is playing a role that no matter what is serving the greater good. And we use the example like, you know what? Let's go back to the ocean. The ocean and the drop of water. Every one of us is a drop of water in the ocean. We are the ocean. We have the ocean within us, right? But we don't decide where it goes. And if we think we are separate from the ocean, or the droplets, if we think we are separate from the ocean, that creates a stress. That creates judgments. That creates this preservation of an identity that it doesn't matter what you do. You can go, the actual ocean will take you from one place to another. You're not going to have a say in it. You're going there anyways. But you can go there kicking and screaming, or you can go there in complete surrender to it. And that is the world that we live in right now. We may not know it because we're like, oh yeah, I'm a separate self, and I have my own identity, and this is what's happened to me in my past, and somebody screwed me over, or I have X amount of dollars. The entire idea of who you are is an idea to be undone, is what the Course says. Because in order for you to find out who you truly are as the innocent child of God, then you must let go of this identity you've created and hung on to for so long. Right? Because, and we do naturally, if we don't interrupt this thinking, it's like, all right, well, Alex is, he's from Taiwan, and he's lost all his money when he was doing the restaurant business, and he will never do restaurants again, and he got into real estate. Real estate is everything. That's the only place to invest, and all this stuff. Any story that comes with it, comes with my past. I'm like, yep, that's my identity, but it isn't. See, none of those things. If we think about this moment, like there is only this moment, that means none of those other moments even exist now. But we hold on to them. We hold on to everything in the past, and we drag it into this moment. And then we use it as a reason why we can't fall in love again, why we respond to people a certain way, why we are guarded and skeptical about things. People become jaded, right? Like all of these things happen in our lifetime because, oh man, I've lived to this certain age. My goal is to live and get more and get younger and let go of those things and forgive it, practicing forgiveness. And last week, I think Antoine was mentioning Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor's idea is amazing too. And somebody actually asked me this week, like, how do you see A Course in Miracles and everything? I do A Course in... Oh, wait, it was EJ. You're like, I do A Course in Miracles, and then I do my life. And other people have the same thing. I do my spiritual practice, but then you got to put the spiritual practice aside and go back to reality. And that is the problem right here. We separate spirituality and we separate this world like it's completely different. How do we bring that together? I made a video yesterday. I made a video yesterday talking about the importance of having a spiritual practice, of constantly being in the recognition of who you really are. Because as we post on social media, there's algorithms of what's attractive and what people will watch, and then we start making videos tailoring to people's ADD, and tailoring to people's like attention and what they'll watch, and we may lose sight of ourselves. And I think that's something that we got to continue to interrupt, because the next phase, the next generation, they're already kind of like that. They know what people will watch. They know the attention span is short. And I hired a 15-year-old to manage my YouTube channel, and he's like a genius. Like things that I wouldn't think about. Look, this is what he sent me. I'm going to just share this real quick. It's insane. Where is it? So he's like, your videos are great, but you don't have a strong enough hook. I'm like, what? I think about the hooks all the time. He's like, success leaves clues. That is a terrible hook. I'm like, really? I thought that was a good hook. He's like, this is what you need to do. He's like, you got to make a video talking about the importance of the group of people you hang around and how they elevate you or bring you down. And the hook will be, I was able to go from $400,000 in debt to driving a Tesla in just a few years using this simple strategy. I'm like, what? Holy crap. How did that one message turn into this hook? But it's just genius. And another one, he's like a video explaining multifamily in general. He's like, the hook is, this is how I was able to go from 400,000 in debt to obtaining over $1 million in real estate. I'm like, wow, I do see that the great YouTubers and influencers out there using these types of hook lines. It just comes natural to him. He's 15. He's 15. He's like, the importance of a daily routine. I would just be like, here's why it's important to have a daily routine. He goes, what do all the rich people in the world have in common? That's the hook. I'm like, oh my God. It's a whole different level of thinking. And a part of me is like, okay, I can't adopt to it because I have this old story carrying along, right? And the practice is to continue to let go of, because there's a part of our minds that say, no, I'm not good at it. That was the old ways, we do it this way. Well, it's not the old ways anymore. It's not the old days. And we got to continue to evolve with time. And the only way we can evolve with time and be flexible and adapt is to clear our minds, do clearings of our past. And the Course calls that forgiveness. So forgiveness. And Natalia, we will, I know I just get into it sometimes, but we are going to co-host this. But forgiveness, I just want to read something and then I'll let you take over and share what you think about it. All right. So forgiveness is about clearing your past. It's not for other people, but it's for you. If we held on to a grudge for a long time, it hasn't served you at all to hold that. Now, there is some payoffs, okay? There is some payoffs. We never do anything without perceived value, right? We won't hold on to an idea if it didn't have a perceived value. Now, if I hold a grudge against my friend, my sister, my wife, whoever I hold a grudge on, I get to use that story, okay, for something. There is value in it, but the only value is to defend a story or defend a limiting belief or defend a perception. It does not defend the truth, because truth needs no defense. All right, so to let those things go, to forgive, will allow us to step into this moment with clarity, trust, certainty, and a really great sense of love. When we're able to do some sort of forgiveness or clearing of a past, we really experience love. There is, yes, it's recorded. It will be on the YouTube. Um, there is one of my guys that I'm working with right now. We're in a men's group together. He he was like, I realized that my whole life I've been using anger to get what I want. Almost like intimidation factor. And he's in the gym all the time. He's always loud. He's always, this is how he's carried himself for a long time. But it has left, and in our group we're looking at the what we've created in our lives. And so he's seen like the wake of destruction that he has created by using anger to mask the hurt that's inside. So anger really is like sadness underneath, or love not knowing where to go. And it could be any other emotions too. It's always masking and hiding something. We have to consciously interrupt that automatic, because what ends up happening is an unconscious part of our mind goes straight from event to reaction. There is no critical thinking of what happens in between. Somebody cuts you off while you're driving, automatic reaction is anger, is judgment, it's yelling, it's this, it's that. So there is a the moment in between, the couple seconds and the moments in between the event and your reaction is your time to choose something different and to interrupt yourself. And the more we interrupt it, the more we will create a new routine and a new response to things. And when we have that moment where we're like, man, somebody just cut me off and I have no anger response to it, like, it's a great feeling. All of a sudden I can trust. That's a great feeling. All of a sudden I can respond with love. That's an awesome feeling. I know where I used to be, and then this is where I am now. We naturally kind of do that as well, because we go on and we we experience a lot of pain and realize that what we've been doing hasn't been working. And that's why the Course says we have extreme tolerance for pain, but it's not without an end. All right, so forgiveness. This is Myron Williamson's A Year of Miracles. And I'll read day 2, and then I'll kind of open it up for chats and for Natalia to also share. So, forgiveness sets me free of pain. We don't forgive someone for their sake. We forgive them for the sake of our own peace of mind. Any attack on another person is an attack upon ourselves. For in the spiritual universe, there is only one of us here. What I think about anyone else, I'm thinking about myself. All of us are joined in the oneness of God's love. Only love is real, and only love has power. Everything else is a mortal illusion. Forgiveness is my salvation from pain. If I believe in the reality of what you did to me, then I will feel as though the consequences of what you did to me is real. By overlooking, I will overcome. The question becomes this: where do I put my faith? Do I put my faith in something loveless that someone did to me, or in an eternal love that lies beyond and corrects all things? To the extent that I withdraw my attachment to what you did, I will no longer be affected by what you did. I have decided to put my faith elsewhere. That is the miracle of forgiveness. Something loveless might have occurred in my life, and of course, I have to process my feelings, but I don't have to indulge them. I need to honor my feelings, but I don't have to spew them. By standing on the spiritual path that only love is real, I develop the ability to endure the gap in time between the pain of someone hurting me and the miracle of my release from suffering. In time, as forgiveness becomes my way of life, the gap itself will no longer exist. So that gap, the gap from the moment that I've experienced somebody attacking me to the moment of miracle. Okay. Miracle is the shifting from a perspective of attack, fear, judgment to the perspective of love, gratitude, um, abundance, all of those, the energies that come with that. That's a miracle. Now, the Course also says the true miracle is the love that even inspires that to be possible. And that's the truth. So there is only love. And there is a gap between the time that I perceive somebody attacking me to the moment that I forgive. There is a gap. Sometimes it's a year. Sometimes it's 10 years. Sometimes it's forever. People go to their grave with it, that gap. Now, as you allow forgiveness to fill your heart, as you recognize that only love is real, and that no matter what, everything that we see is just love playing out a version of love. There's only love. There's love or there's love. That was our last week's quote of the day. There's love or there's love. Everything else is an illusion that you have brought in because you believe that there is multiple minds, that there are other bodies out there that can hurt me, and that this world is a scary place. So yeah, and hello everybody on LinkedIn. Yeah, there's that. So I'll open it up for a minute here. Just take questions, take responses. Natalia, if you want to hop in anywhere, just feel free to unmute yourself. Natalia is now co-hosting this call with me, but I'm still hijacking the whole thing. So we'll work on that.
It's perfect. What came up for me as you were speaking was this idea. You said the undoing, and so throughout life, we've like trained ourselves, and we start seeing life through this lens, right? That you were explaining. And I read Myron Williamson's book the other day that I picked up from the shelf, A Return to Love, and she also said it in the course that I was taking, that when Michelangelo was asked how he completed all these beautiful sculptures, he said that it was God that created them. He just removed the excess marble. And as you were speaking, I was thinking that like in life, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just like peeling the onion, removing the excess marble that's there because we're all children of God. We're created in His image, and through life, we're like adding all these things that it is now our choice to kind of like unpeel the onion and remove that excess marble. So I wanted to share that. That was when I read it and I heard it, it was very powerful for me.
Yeah. There is a world. There is love only in this world. Okay? And you can either believe it or you don't. There is no halfway believing it. See, that's another one of the ego's trick is, oh yeah, sometimes I believe this, sometimes I don't. See, the having the sometimes, the ego will divert to the attack. The ego will not accept love only, the ego will accept love sometimes. And then it will use love and turn it into a weapon because it's only sometimes. That means it could become scarce. And the ego's like, yep, that's awesome. We'll take that. So if you ask yourself, do you believe in love? You're like, yeah, I believe in love. Okay. Do you believe in love only? Now that becomes a question. If you can ask yourself just that question throughout the day, then could you experience attack? If there is love only, I was talking to somebody yesterday too, and he was like, I believe, spiritual, I was in the spiritual space for a long time. I got lost in it. Could you get lost in it? Right? I got lost in it, and I lost track of reality, of what I need to do in this world. It's like I can't just sit in a cave and meditate because I'm helping nobody in the world. And so he diverted his mind back to the dual thinking, which is he's like, I believe there's 99% love and there's 1% fear. If there is even 1% fear to be real, then it is maximum real for you. Because you still believe that there are times when there's love and there's times there's fear. And every time you decide that somebody else, see, the fear actually shows up as a judgment on somebody else. When you perceive somebody hurting you or attacking you or backstabbing you, you have actually attacked them first. You've decided that they could attack you in the first place, that they could have an ability to hurt you. You've judged them already before they even committed anything towards you. You've decided that another person could possibly be untrustworthy. You've decided to see them as capable of wrongdoings and attack. And in that, you've judged and attacked them first, and then you create the reality. And because our ego and everything, the law of attraction, actually the law of projection makes perception. That comes back to you. You will find evidence. See, the Course says if you believe in love, you will find evidence for love. If you believe in hatred and attack and that the world is not safe, you will find evidence of that as well. Whichever one you give more attention to becomes real for you, becomes the perception that you will take on, that will lead you down the path to peace. Now, without the path that we choose is the only choice that we have every moment. There's only two. There's only, I believe that there's love only, or there is, sometimes there are fear and there's attack. Which one is it? They are complete opposites, right? So you can't actually pick one sometimes and pick the other times. You're either, and still remain in a peace state. That's why we lose our peace all the time. We can say, oh, if I just had this deal work out, everything will be good. If I just had more money, everything will be good. Well, when we achieve our goals, we still lose our peace, right? And I'm going to use my wife for an example here. She's like, I love this house. Okay, I haven't even seen it. We just moved. We moved to a new house because she loved it. I was on the road. I was traveling. And we come back and I go to a conference and she's moving our house. I'm like, okay, if you love it, let's do it. And she's like, oh, I'm going to be so happy. There's nothing I'm going to be upset about. Okay, great. We come here, first day, something doesn't go right, flips out. I'm like, I thought you weren't ever going to be upset anymore since we moved to this place that's your dream home and you love. So we take ourselves everywhere with us. It doesn't even matter where you are. It's just in your mind. What do you believe to be true? Every moment you're either committing to the crucifixion or you're committing to the resurrection. The crucifixion is that something is going to get crucified. And I'm actually just crucifying myself. Resurrection is the bringing back, the remembering that we are all innocent, that we can't be anything else. Everybody that's on this planet is playing the role that a source universe or a universal intelligence is having us play. And like I said earlier, you can do it kicking and screaming, or you can just surrender to it. You're going there either way. The ocean is taking this drop of water to the Gulf of Mexico either way. You can be like, nah, I want to be in New Jersey. Or you can flip out and scream and cry all you want. That only makes it harder for you. So now the only question for us is, how do I become the best receptor to the message? So I can actually hear it and I can align, oh, this is where I'm supposed to go. I can practice surrendering to it constantly. And then life becomes peaceful. Practically, what do we do every day? If an investment is not going well, if the relationship's not going the way we want to go, if something bad happens to us, you give it over to the Holy Spirit, or you give it over. God, I don't know. I don't know what it was all for, but I'm sure, it's to show me something. Every triggering effect, every time you get upset, it's a moment for you to choose again. Because you chose incorrectly the first time. You chose the first time to see it as something that is going to hurt you. Let me choose it again. And the way that I choose it again is with some external help, is to give it over. And this is why deepening your faith, it doesn't have to be in any religion, but to deepen your faith, okay, gives you the connection to source, to God. And that is the only thing we have to do is figure out our connection to our Father. That's what the Course says. All of your problems come from your disconnect and the ability to see yourself as connected to God or connected to the source. It's a communication problem. It's not a real problem that shows up for us. Money, sex, love, anything that there is in this world that we buy into, that we make God of, it's false places to put it's false places to put our faith. Our faith lies in the universal intelligence that's having us play out what we're supposed to do. And I say this all the time, and I'll say it again, is I am always fascinated by the fact that there's doctors everywhere in the world throughout all times. There's always healers and doctors. I never would like, I have no interest in being a doctor, but your interest. So this is actually so the Course says this: your ministry. That means you recognize the role that you're supposed to play and you've devoted your life to it. That's your ministry. See, my ministry is to extend love, is to inspire others to be in a space of love. And whether I do it in A Course in Miracles, or I do it on my real estate calls, or wherever I go, it's the only thing that's on my mind. I recognize what my ministry is. My ministry is to bring people closer to God. I will do it in every single space. There is no spaces which that doesn't apply for me. And maybe somebody else is to be an actor, in Hollywood. That's totally fine. But your ministry is still to extend love and to inspire others that they are love, regardless of what industry you're in. And that's the only recognition and remembering that we need. And we bring that to every space. We bring it into our home space. We bring it into our workspace. We bring it into Starbucks. We bring it into, I don't know, every conference, everywhere we go. If you are connected to the universal intelligence, or you're connected to God, nothing can waver you. But the second that communication is blocked, all the fear comes in. I'll tell you right now, like, this is what my wife and I are talking about. And please feel free, anybody want to share anything, just unmute yourself and share. Like a year ago, I used to get really scarce about, I don't know, a couple thousand. Actually, no, when I was living in Peru 2 years ago, making $10,000 or $8,000 a month, I was like, oh man, that's going to cover all the expenses. As long as I got that in the account, I'm good. Yeah, I'm living in Peru. So there's my idea of what a lot of money is. right? And then now, 2 years later, when there's like 50,000 in the account, I'm like, oh my God, we're about to be broke, and so the money is an idea. But whenever I have those thoughts, I've lost my faith. It doesn't matter if it's 50 or 100 or 5,000, because what I've brought into the space is, oh, if we spend it, then now we're not going to have any. That has never happened in my life. There's always more money that comes. And if we can start to look at life that way, trusting God's got our back. The opportunities are always there. Even if you're on your last month, okay? If you only have 1 month left of savings in your account, that's the moment to trust. Okay? God, show me the way. Show me the opportunity. Put somebody in my life that's going to give me an opportunity to make me 2 months of money. That's the trust. Trust that that's going to happen. But we disconnect that communication channel, and we're like, okay, it's up to me to make it happen. And then the weight of the world falls on me. See, Myron Williamson actually says something great. And she's one of the greatest course teachers, and I literally read all her stuff all the time. When I'm in the car, I'm listening to her. When I'm reading her stuff. People are like, well, what are you reading in to learn about multifamily? Myron Williamson. And it's funny. I'm not reading any multifamily books and stuff like that. I'm literally just reading A Course in Miracles and Myron Williamson. It's all the same. If you can apply that. Okay, I'll pause for a minute here. I'm just like going on and on rambling. Anybody want to share anything? Any thoughts, comments? Oh, okay.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
Yeah, this abundance talk is always a thing for me. It's
Yeah.
always a thing for me, especially when I leave a Grant Cardone event and they got my money.
Mm-hmm.
And they got my money. And it happens every time I do something selfish like that and invest in myself, because I realize that that's where my true power is. Investing in myself is my number one thing. But I always think, man, I could have spent it on something else. I could have done, what if I don't have it then next week? And then I just get all these overwhelming feelings. And it doesn't matter how much money comes in. It's always like, it seems to always go out faster than it comes in. And then I'm always in that scarcity mentality. Is like, when's the next money gonna come in? And I don't know. And it always does. I'm starved to death. Yes, obviously,
Yeah.
But I'm always in that place, and it's a feeling. It's almost like a physical thing, because it grips my chest. I mean, I feel like somehow like I do like this shallow breathing. I'm like, oh my God, this fear just comes over me. And it's not logical. It's definitely not logical, but it absolutely. And I try so right away to distract my mind and do the positive thinking and do meditations and everything, but it grips me. The fear of scarcity grips me sometimes.
Yeah. And you have enough evidence in your life that that's not even true. But we still somehow believe in that. See, that's the 1% fear. Even if we believe 99% is true and we live in gratitude 99% of the times, that 1% of fear is true, and we magnify it constantly. So even though it's 1% of the time, we've made it really big. We made a really big size of fear. Yeah. So, and it happens to all of us. This is why I love having this conversation, because my intention and my goals are here by the end of this call that you leave a little more full in your heart, that you trust a little bit more, that you recognize, it's safe. The world is actually safe. And we can, there's all sorts of evidence for that.
So Alex,
Yeah.
The power of the course for me really started to become true when I realized that we all believe that we separated from God, right? The truth is that we have. We just in this dream that we believe that God is there, we are here. We've got this whole thing going on between fear and love. Even the love that's here that we're dealing with, that we believe is love of your dog, of your spouse, of your new house. That's not the love the Course is really talking about. The Course is talking about the love of God. And that is the measure. That is something that when we come up against the illusions that we're dealing with throughout our day, we remember to turn it all over to Holy Spirit for guidance, who is infallible. He's the Word of God. As long as we remember that, that's what's going to help us get through as that drop in the ocean. Help us, remember that this is where we are. What happened yesterday or 2 minutes ago or last year or 10 years ago doesn't matter. It's all past. It's all an illusion. All of it's an illusion. We remember that we are really a part of God. We could wake up tomorrow and go to heaven. All of this stuff, is the good, the bad, the poverty, the wealth, all of it's illusion. It's just the dream we're having. And we can choose what dream to have. We can have the happy dream. Just got to hold the hand of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. So the love of God, the Course says, it can't be taught. Like, we can't teach it to you, but we can show you all the blockages to the awareness of love's presence. And so when you see a shooting or you see, a murder on the news, or when you see somebody, okay, here's a good one. When somebody drives and they take their McDonald's drink and just chuck it out the window. There's an attack right there from you to them. Right? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? So we have these moments where we judge. And can we give everything over to the Holy Spirit? And that's what I've been practicing. One of my biggest lessons was when I was in Peru and somebody dumping their entire garbage can into the river. And it just kind of bothered me for a while until I've done enough sharing about it and letting go of it and transmuting that to a loving energy. And now it's funny. Like at one time it was not funny, but now it's funny. So funny, like adding joy and adding laughter to things is a sign that healing is happening. That you are shifting. Yeah. Go ahead, EJ.
It all just takes practice, right? When I started studying Course in Miracles years ago, I would get frustrated. I absorbed it like a sponge. I'm like, why aren't things changing for me? Why aren't things changing for me? And Larry Glenn would say, this takes practice. And the practice is what it's about. The more you practice, the closer you get. Whether it's someone cutting you off on the road, I still am like, jackass. But then right away, I go, oh, what am I doing? So the more you practice, the faster it comes.
Yeah.
And at some point, like you said earlier, you won't do that. You'll just be in love and let them go and say,
yeah,
God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Forgiveness closes that gap. And I literally say that all the time. I'm like, okay, I can still send love that way. I can send love that way without having to actually do anything. The Course is like, you need do nothing. That's the highest level of awareness for us, that we actually need do nothing, because everything is in motion already. Love's motion is always moving.
Yeah, that's very true. Before I forget, I want to say one more thing. This aura that you have here, Alex, is so very helpful and important, because although the Course says it's a self-study course, it's the study of the self by yourself. That's what it's supposed to be. It's a self-study course. And I do it every day. I've been doing it every day for 12 years. And my lessons, practice every day, every hour. but I haven't been part of a group in several years for reasons that just, life got in the way. There's a lot of power being around other people and listening to other people and being just in the presence of people that are on the same journey, if you will,
Yeah.
and belief system.
Yeah.
Love, because that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, good on you. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. It's true. Like, I've done this in group settings since the beginning. Within a community in group settings where you learn the fastest, you learn the best. There is an energy that is moving in the room that is, even if you're not understanding the course language, you can understand this loving energy that's flowing around, and you can jump on the wagon. It's easier. And then I want to answer Jessica's question real quick. Why do the negative thoughts seem so real and the loving thoughts seem so elusive? It's guilt. We are not actually afraid to face the things that are scary. What we're actually, the course says, what you're actually afraid of is you're afraid of waking up. You're afraid of waking up to the truth of who you are. You're afraid to wake up because that means everything you've built up to this point will be shattered. That's what we're really afraid of. We're afraid of stepping into the greatest light that we possibly could be and to be in love only, because that means all the other stuff you've made many gods of that you've put on the altar will just come crashing down. Everything. It could be you, it could be your spiritual practice, it could be your financial practice. Everything that is about you, Jessica, you've placed on an altar. And the course says the practice is really to take little things down off the altar that doesn't belong there. Those are all false idols. Your Tesla, your Bentley, your nice house, your apartment buildings, your investments, your wherever you put that is not God on that altar, we got to slowly do the forgiveness process and take them off the altar. And as we do that, it becomes less and less scary. We become less afraid of waking up to the truth of who we are. And then peace starts to reign in our mind. It starts to occupy our mind. That there could be some war going on, and I can still have peace in my mind. Right? There could be crazy battles in politics, and I can still have peace in my mind. Somebody can literally attack you on social media or call you an idiot or whatever, and you can still have peace on your mind. Because it's no longer, I'm not afraid of stepping into my greatest light, and I'm not afraid to see you in your light no matter what you say or do. Like, seeing Christ consciousness or seeing the light in others is the way to see it really in yourself. And it's to start practicing that. So it's not that we are afraid of the ego or anything. We actually find comfort in those things. The temporary, the false gods that the ego gives you, we love it. We're like, oh yeah, I can distract my mind by getting caught up in this show, or getting caught up in chasing money, and getting caught up in getting nice cars and nice houses. We get caught up in all that stuff. But they're all false gods. They never give you what you think they're going to give you. You want peace. See, end of the day, do I want peace, or do I want to be right about something? Do I want happiness, or do I want to be right? You have to answer that question for yourself. And it's the best when you're in an altercation. Do I want peace, or do I want to be right? If you can interrupt yourself and literally ask that question in the middle of a heated battle, it's comical. It's comical what you'll even say. I'll even say, no, I'm going to be right now. Like, if she only said this, then this fight wouldn't have happened. I continue to practice being right and saying that. I'm like, okay, I'm being silly. Oh, but if she only can stop doing, why would she get upset? Why can't she just be grateful? Oh, shit. Okay, I'm going to stop. And I just I have like literally I don't know. I'm like bipolar when I'm upset, Like, I just go back and forth. Like, yeah, I want peace. Nope, I want to be right. Yes, I want happiness. Nope, I want to be right. And it just goes back and forth. And it's literally It's crazy. It's insane how we do that in those moments when we're upset. When something does not go our way and we're really triggered, that's the time to kind of just play around with yourself in that. Like, man, how much do I want to be right? Because in this moment, we might not be able to connect to that experience right now. But if you could be in that experience and just remember simply, am I trying to be right now about something? Or do I want peace? And just think about how fast you will throw peace out the door. If peace is the only thing we want, peace and love, we want peace and love in our mind. We want to have peace about the money that we make. We want to have peace about the investments we weigh. I want to have peace with my relationship with my wife. That's all. I just want peace. Okay. And then just see how fast you throw them away and you rather have war. That's what happens. Somebody doesn't pay their rent, I'd rather have war than I'd rather have peace. And just check yourself, just be aware. Welcome, Shiva.
Hey, Alex.
Yo, welcome, bro.
Hey, I really liked what you said about kind of like your career path or your purpose, kind of how can be, you were saying, extend love and inspire others. And so it doesn't have to be like, this is a great example of doing that, but it doesn't have to be something like this. It can be, like you said, an actor doing like a different career thing and trying to find your purpose and drive, and it doesn't have to follow into like this set of, I guess, guidelines, or like, this is such a clear example of that, and then there's other examples that wouldn't necessarily you think are the same. So,
yeah.
I was
Thank you.
liking what you said on that.
Yeah. Because look, every profession that you take on, you will probably have an engagement with another person. That means in that space and in that circle, you can practice your ministry. And it doesn't matter. Like, we could be talking about real estate, but there's still two people here. And what's the work between two people? Right. And it doesn't matter where you are. You could be a CPA, you could be an actor, you could be a doctor, you could be a real estate agent. It's how you show up as like, if you choose to be a teacher of God, okay, and anybody can be, as long as you choose that, the salvation is in me accepting it myself. Like, anybody can become a teacher of God, because all you're doing is teaching. You are teaching all the time, no matter what. It's not even something that can be helped. You're teaching something. And if we can recognize the projection in which the teaching happens, then, that's the conscious part of it. And we live more consciously, more awake, more alert, and life. And we got to liven this in us every day. Yeah. What'd you think, Natalia? What do you think about all this stuff?
When I heard EJ say, sometimes if somebody cuts him off, he'll be like, oh, damn. And then I remembered, even in that example, the moment that we remember, instead of reacting, to choose love instead, that right there is how we're teaching. So there might be a person next to us in the car that might be looking at that, and when they themselves are driving, get triggered or respond in that way. But in the seeing the other person choosing love instead, not being affected by the fact that they were cut off, not being affected by the fact that that's how we're teaching another person. And another thing that I thought of is how, the ego wants to separate. And I was thinking of how, like, divorces, when people go different ways and they separate, it's actually like, it's almost like a feast for the ego to like grab on and hold on to that, because, oh, this is a separation. But if we look back at the course and we remember that all minds are joined, there's really no separation that's happening. And how we are being with this other person, and perhaps we're going through a divorce, perhaps it's a company that decided to dissolve, or is the separation of two life partners.
Mm-hmm.
In the being with our former partners, or in the being with our former business partners, we're teaching others a different way of being. And I thought that was, I wanted to share that because that was really resonating with me as I was listening to everybody else.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, the way that we respond to things is really gonna teach, because my wife says it all the time. How do you respond with so much peace and calmness to this? Like, she'll freak out, and so you're always teaching. You remind me of the time that I was at the airport, and I left my passport and my jacket on the seat and got on the plane. And I was like, and they were about to, and they closed the door, and I was like, hey, I left my passport and jacket like on the seat out there. And she's like, oh, we can call to the front, but if we open the door and you get out, like, we can't let you back on the plane. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. Just leave it there. I'll just call and hopefully I'll get it back later. And I I had such peace around it. Everyone around me was freaking out for me. It didn't even happen to them. They're fighting and they're like, no, he should be able to get back on the plane. Everybody's freaking out. And I was just like, leave it. We're good. And then afterwards, the person sitting next to me is like, I have no idea how you were able to handle that with such calmness. I would have freaked out. I'm like, yeah, you were freaking out. It wasn't even your passport. So, I don't know, because even that tiny little thing, it could have changed. It changed a lot. It could have changed the lives of all the people that witnessed that. Just the way in which you keep calm and peace in situations where it's very easy to jump into attack and scare and being scared, freaking out. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Because yes, somebody cut me off and I could be super calm. Somebody else witnessing it could be like, wow, what was that? Right? They were expecting something to happen. I mean, I watch sometimes like these things pop up on my Instagram, and it's like somebody rear-ending somebody, and then they get out the car, they get into a big fist fight, and all this stuff just happens. I'm like, that's the expected. It's like that's the expected response when these things happen. You interrupting that is you being conscious and choosing something different and being a teacher in that moment. So yeah, that's a great point, Natalia. What else? What else are we hearing on this call? Because, when I say things, you're not even hearing it. You're hearing what your filter wants you to hear. All right, we're talking about something Natalia's hearing that. All right, so what else are you guys hearing?
Guys, I'm just going to say goodbye for now. I've got another commitment a couple minutes late. This has been awesome. See you next time, Sunday.
10 a.m.
Alex, I'll be in touch. Thanks, guys.
All right, cool. Take care. Just so you'll know, the Instagram at one point hit 117 people watching. So it's going out there. Now, it doesn't have the retention rate of our Monday night calls when we talk about real estate and stuff. But, little tiny words can make a really big difference.
So that just gave me an idea, because being in this Course in Miracles is the best way of getting to know you, Alex, and your heart and your intentions. And I just thought about, I need to invite more people to this Course in Miracles, because that's like the calming effect that most investors, I think, will need in order to be able to feel safe and secure about coming into one of our deals. If I invite them to this first, it's a great segue to later on invite them to invest with us.
Yeah, I mean, all the calls, my Monday calls, Thursday calls, I do 6 out of my 8 calls. are just completely free, and we do it every week. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 now. 5, 6. I don't know. No, 6. Yeah. So 6 calls, but it's always an invitation. I always want people to. Morning, Matt. I always want to invite people into peace and into God. And if that looks like it's through real estate, great. If that looks like it's, through basketball, great. Because I'm very clear that my job for the day is to inspire people to be in love, is to inspire people to trust, is to inspire people to be closer to their own spiritual side. Whatever that looks like. I don't know. I'm open to what that looks like.
Hello.
Hello.
Today is International Women's Day, so happy Women's Day.
Yes.
Yeah, put it up there.
International Women's Day. Awesome. So
Congratulations, all of us.
what does that mean though? It's just like we're just a day to celebrate women?
I guess internationally.
Okay. Well, feel celebrated.
There is something else that kind of hit my mind, and that is I listened to Mel Robbins, and she was saying how, and I found this so hard to believe, that some people don't even love themselves, and she teaches people how to love themselves, and I was like, how do people not love themselves? I mean,
Well, some people. It depends on, if you've created a lot of limiting things and you've created a war in your wake, like in your past, then it comes back to you, and then that's why the forgiveness process gets to happen. And it starts with it starts with yourself, because you have done so many things that might have hurt others and you weren't even aware of it. You chose like my best interest, but it wasn't even your best interest. And you get to forgive yourself for choosing wrongly. Not even that it's wrong, it could never be wrong, but that I chose wrongly at the moment. Yeah. So it could be, I was watching a show last night, and it was talking about this veteran having PTSD and what they were going through, and then all of a sudden I had a snapping image in my mind. I'm like, I could never know what that's like. I would never know what it's like to like not be able to go to sleep, close your eyes, and just have like trauma happen, being afraid of going to sleep. And I was like, okay, well, let me recognize and send love out even more. How do I be more accepting of people? Right? Because somebody can literally shoot someone and it's not even like, it's not their fault, really, And can I forgive right on the spot? Can I forgive a shooter that goes into a elementary school? That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that is part of your self-forgiveness, because I will crucify. And the more that I crucify, the more it will show up in my own life, and I may not want to forgive myself when that happens. And I just project more pain and more hurt outwards. Go ahead, Lyra.
I just wanted to respond to Melinda's question. How could that be, someone not loving themselves? I am one of those before, getting better now. It's really around the feeling of worthiness. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. Maybe because when you were younger, you weren't shown that. You don't know anything about that. And, maybe it was all about, you're not, that's what it was showing to you or teaching you was you're not good enough, right? So as you become an adult, you tell yourself, I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for my family. And then you change it, right? But sometimes it's harder for you because you don't know how. And then you find a way, right? I think this is why I'm here too. I found Alex to teach me how to really focus on myself, and I am worthy, right? To love myself. Although my family now will tell me, "We love you so much," right? But I don't believe it a lot of the times because you know you're still that in that thing that you learned so deep inside of you that you kept inside of you that I'm not worthy, right?
You know what's interesting from what I'm hearing right here? We are such projection machines that our own experience, we will use the word you instead of I. Like you don't forgive yourself, right? But we're really talking about ourselves, and we don't use the word I. We still use you. And a great way to start to own that power is to start to share everything from an I perspective. Because we still try to sneakily in our languaging, like project it out there. Like I like what you were just saying, Lyra, like you shared something really powerful, but you wanted to give it more away by saying you a lot. You may not know how to love yourself, but it's really just I experienced that. And we still give it away a lot. And we try to project it even in our words. And so we can own that by saying I or we. I say we a lot because everything is always in this inclusion. And if you see like our multifamily mastermind that we're in, it's always a we. Including any deals that I've done, it's a we deal. We've done. I'm always creating this this inclusive feeling, and that's in my language. So languaging becomes something that's important for us, and what words we choose, because there's no accidents in what we choose to use, even though it seems like it's so unconscious.
Thanks for calling that out, Alex. I realize now I'm still not owning it.
Yeah.
I see it. It's separated. It's separated. I gotta change that word, right? So yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's one of the first things we learn in the transformational work is like, let's stop using you, because we say it like we need people to have our back. So we just include people, and that's what ends up happening. That creates a lot of problems for us, because instead of looking for the truth and looking in the harder places for ourselves, we just look for people that will agree with us. We're looking to project ideas and scenarios to them where they're just gonna naturally be like, yeah, it makes sense. You're right. And they're like, oh yes, I'm right about my story. At the end of the day, is it bringing peace or is it not? It's very simple. Yes.
You know what? To me, I think when COVID hit, I think a lot of people started questioning a lot of different things. You know what I mean? I think that people started questioning the government. I started, questioning life and purpose. I mean, I think a lot of people started questioning, what's real, what's not real.
Yeah.
I mean, because some people got the vaccine, some people didn't.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, in reality, what is real?
Mm-hmm. That was interesting too, because at first I was like, no, my natural go-to is anti-vaccine, all that stuff. And then I was like, if they're going to stop me from traveling, then I'll get the vaccine. And then my wife's like, if you get the vaccine, like we can't have babies and we're going to have to separate. And that's the funny thing, that when the ego decides something and wants to be so right, and you go down that tunnel, it only leads to separation. It leads to me quitting. It leads to me breaking up. It leads to the partnership dissolving. It leads to killing, separation, because I need to separate from this. And all we do actually is increase the idea of separation. And we find more of the same things. But shifting and coming to love, it requires constant attention. You can go on automatic and let the ego drive, and it will drive you right down the rabbit hole of attack and fear and judgment. But if you're going to go down the rabbit hole of love, it requires our constant choosing, our constant denial, actually, of this world that we live in, this 3D world. And yeah, COVID came and it smashed a lot of things. It smashed our routines, which caused us to think, wait, this is not real anymore. You know? Go ahead, Ryan. You want to share something?
Yeah. I kind of wanted to reply to what Vera was saying about and I'm going to try to use a lot of your I stuff. So I feel that I have like a hard self-critic of myself, and sometimes I'll read that, it's you're your worst critic, and I think that kind of can segue into the not feeling worthy, is if that's all that your self-talk is all about, you needing to, or like I need to improve this, and I need to do this better, and like all this I'm not at where I want to be. And that's where I feel like it's such the challenge of being like, I'm right where I need to be. I have everything. I want nothing. This whole like mentality of not needing to strive for greater, and being so full of love that everything comes to you, or me, what, I don't know. So and that's where I think it's really cool what this kind of talk and getting all this support and opening up is so important, is to just everyone sharing all this of like, kind of you're not alone. And we're all going through a different version of the similar story of the human condition.
Yeah, it's all the same, different forms of the same thing. Now, here's the thing. There is no arriving, right? For all of us, there is no arriving. That means there's nowhere really that we need to go. We just enjoy the journey as we go. What's that quote? Love says I'm everything. Wisdom says I'm nothing. Between the two banks I flow. Right? So like there is no getting to one place or the other. Am I going to the bank of love says I'm everything, or am I going to wisdom says that, I'm nothing. So where am I going? You just kind of flow down the middle. I mean, you just go. You bounce on this bank sometimes, you bounce on the other one, and just enjoy the ride of all the experiences that come. And know that there is no, you're in the very beginning of the course, it says, here's what it says. It says that this is a mandatory curriculum. Okay, where is it? Wow, okay. This is a required course. You're going down the river. It's a required course. You're going. Doesn't matter if you choose to fight or whatnot. The current is going to take you. You're going. Only the time you take is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. You can't establish the direction in which this river is going to flow. You can only decide if you're going to go down this river kicking and screaming, or you're going to just lay back and enjoy the ride. All the experiences that come, good, bad, it's all part of this flow. I'd make a whole bunch of money, then I lose a whole bunch of money, then I make a whole bunch of money, then I lose a whole bunch of money, and it just goes back and forth. Can you keep your peace with all of it? One of my favorite quotes is right here. It says, success consists of going from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm. Just have fun. while you're going down this journey. You know, things are not always going to work out the way you want it to, but it's always working out for your greater good. And that requires strong faith and strong connection to God. You know, that I'm supposed to fail right here. I'm supposed to experience this heartbreak right here. I'm supposed to lose my money right here. Because as one thing is closed, another is opened. And it's kind of like, if we believe in full, when we can, it's a moment for us to practice abundance. Abundance is anywhere there could possibly be a gap, it is automatically filled. As soon as even the gap could even exist, it's already filled. We just get to see it, right? A rock gets lifted off the river banks, it's immediately filled with water or with sand or with something, just different forms. But we're so attached. We're like, no, the rock. And we go chasing after it and lose our shit for like 5 years or 10 years. You know, chasing after it when it's already been filled. Your heart's already filled. As soon as it's broken, it's already filled. And we get to just that requires trust and faith. Time is it? All right, we got 8 more minutes. The conversation usually gets really good towards the end of this call. In the beginning, we're just all like warming up to what are we talking about here?
Alex.
Yo, what's up, bro?
How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
Good as well. So I've been learning natural vision improvement. It's something that I didn't even know was possible, that you can learn to see without glasses. And it's just amazing because it's so connected to Course in Miracles as well, because there's nothing physically wrong with my eyes, but there's just the way that I'm using them that's making my eyes worse. And I didn't know that this was a reality. And it turned to this whole like holistic mission where it's like, wow, there's a lot of things wrong with me, and it's probably all connected to my eyes. So anyways, that person was talking about not loving yourself. That's part of the reasons that people, their vision gets bad. They don't love what they see. And then the inner conversation that they have with themselves, it releases these stress hormones. So anyways, I've just been getting really conscious of that. And like you're talking about, like someone cuts you off in traffic or whatever, and like how you get angry and you're like vacillating between like love and war and peace and all these things. And that's all a part of the natural vision improvement as well. It's the more relaxed someone can be, the better they can see. So I think this is my work, because I realize, like, whenever I have my glasses on, that's when I'm attacking more and I see the vision more. And it's not just me, it's like everyone who wears glasses, they have like the stiffness to them, and it's become so normal that they don't even realize that they're in strain. And that's the only thing that causes bad vision, is straining. Because if I ask you, Alex, right now, what are you doing to see? You'd be like, I'm blinking and I'm breathing. I'm not really doing anything. You don't have to try. But anyways, it's just really cool what I'm doing. I think this is my work. I want to heal the world's vision, because 500 years ago or 700 years ago, there were no glasses. So how did people back then manage? And I'm realizing that this doctor who came up with this method 100 years ago, he was attacked and called a lunatic, but he's actually a genius. Anyways, that's it. I don't know how it's all connected. It kind of is, because it's about loving yourself, loving the blur, loving where you're at in life, and realizing that, like, this is actually a great thing that this is happening to me, because I get to overcome it. And
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. It is coming to coming to the acceptance, you know? Now, again, the body is just the body. See, when we get super caught up, even your sight is part of the body.
Well, let me ask you something, Alex. You drank last night. Did you see with your eyes?
Well, hold on. So I'm not done with my body part yet.
It's not even your body.
I know. So I'm talking about the difference between a spiritual sight versus your physical sight. You know, so you're talking right now about my eyes seeing clearly or blurry. And yes, I agree when people have glasses on. My wife puts her glasses on. She sees all the dirt everywhere on the counter. I'm like, I can't even see it. She's like, you need glasses. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you should just take your glasses off and and you won't lose your peace anymore. Because if I see it, I'm not going to lose my peace. And if I don't see it, I'm still not going to lose my peace. But if you put your glasses on and you lose your shit all day, maybe you should just take them off. Like there's no judgment around it. It's just like, is it working or is it not? Right. And again, if we put a lot of emphasis on like trying to heal this physical body eye, or making any assumptions of, if I'm doing it, it means this. If I don't do it, it means this. Like all the meaning attached to the body itself needs to be forgiven and given to the Holy Spirit. Like, oh, I don't know. I can see. I don't see. I got LASIK. I don't have LASIK. I have glasses. I don't have glasses. It's the relinquishment of all judgments in general, right? Not one way or another is better or worse, because you've come to at one point, somebody was called a lunatic for their idea. You've come to an understanding and acceptance of someone who was called a lunatic or whatever, and they were called that by the egos. And you also have egos about other people that you don't understand what they're saying, and they may be lunatics to you. So now the healing goes much further. It's not just about the sight. It's about my judgment as a whole, about anything, about anybody that eats meat, about anybody that does this, that does any practices that is not aligned to mine. See, the forgiveness extends far, and the lessons for ourselves extend far, because it's not about the world that needs to change, and people don't need their visions healed. I need to heal my vision about the fact that they even need healing in the first place. I need to stop judging that they need to have healing. And then here's your vision being corrected. Vision is a spiritual vision. The world is a spiritual idea in your mind. And you can change the entire thing. I could be blind and still see the world as beautiful. Maybe I'll have this, why is it happening to me, and have some fear initially come up. But at some point, you will also need to let go of that and know that you're just on this journey, with or without your eyes, with or without your arms, with or without whatever. A lot of people that are blind, that comes to this acceptance of it, they actually think they can see better than the people with eyes. Because all of a sudden, the entire thing there, everything else is heightened. I don't know, because I don't actually, you know what? When I got LASIK, I was blind for maybe 5 minutes. My eyes were open and I could see nothing but black. So I had that experience. I had an intense fear come up for a minute. So I think if anybody has had LASIK, like there's a moment, it like presses on your eyes. It feels like a press. And then your eyes are open and it's just black.
So people who have LASIK, it's basically etching that prescription on your eye, and you're not solving the underlying problem. And there might be even more problems that come along with it. So this doctor would probably not have approved of that. I didn't know you had LASIK. But if you ask somebody who has perfect sight what they see, they're going to say where they're looking is clearest and everywhere else is blurry. But someone with LASIK or glasses, everywhere that they see is exactly the same level of clarity. So there's like these truths. Anyways, I really would like, I think if the world could be on try the natural way. And I don't know, if it calls to somebody, maybe this is my work. It's like, I'm like so deep into it. I'm not done yet. I haven't completed it, but yeah.
There's no completion of it. See,
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah, go ahead. We gotta wrap this up in 2 minutes.
Okay, with me, I'm deaf in one ear, half a hearing in another. Is there something for hearing?
So
Probably.
they say that when people start working on their vision, all of their other senses get better too. Their sense of hearing, their inner sight, their memory, different things start getting better. So it's like there's a signal coming through, and it's kind of just getting your brain to interpret that signal with much more clarity is what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Let this journey that you're on help you see if you are creating other judgments around things, right? Because you've taken on an idea. It's not the truth. You've taken on a perspective that you think is very interesting, but it's very important to recognize what is truth versus what is a perspective. Okay, this is a perspective that you're taking on. The truth is that nobody needs any help of any sort, that you are already as perfect as it can be. The truth is that the truth are something that is eternal and it does not change. Lovingness, love only.
Because it's so interesting. Somebody with terrible vision is okay with it and doesn't want to improve it, but somebody with like a minor imperfection is very motivated to change it. So it's interesting what people can accept and what they want for themselves. So yeah, I'm not forcing anyone to do it. I just think this is a cool way, and like I want more people to know about it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you allow yourself to have a deep practice with it. You know, yes, share it, but share it from a place that's like, oh, well, cool. You can do it the non-natural way or the natural way. It's okay either way, you know, and just coming to that like level of peace for yourself, knowing that this is something for me. This is my journey. It's a perspective that I'm taking on. I'm taking a journey, but it's a form of healing. Everything that other people can have, this vision could be your thing. Hearing could be somebody else's thing. Something else could be something else's thing. As long as you have miracle moments and you're shifting from fear to love or resistance to acceptance, that's going to heal all sorts of different things. So you can, if you have that miracle moment around your eyesight, yeah, it'll probably heal a lot of other things in your mind. Because one form is when you recognize that everything is just forms of the same thing. And then it's like, oh, great, that's a perspective. Cool. And then can you take what you learned about that perspective, the shifting of your old truth to the new to a new truth? Oh, everybody's possible of that. Then you become kinder, more understanding, more compassionate with everyone out there. And then all of a sudden more love fills up your life. And you're like, man, this is healing my sight. Yeah, great. All right. So, all right, I'm going to read one final lesson to wrap us up. Then I got to head out of here. Lesson 282. I will not be afraid of love today. If I could realize but this today, salvation would be reached for all the world. This is the decision not to be insane and to accept myself as God himself. My Father and my source created me. This, the determination not to be asleep in dreams of death, while truth remains forever living in joy of love. And this is the only choice, the choice to recognize the self whom God created as the Son he loves and whom remains my one identity. Father, your name is love, and so is mine. Such is the truth. And can the truth be changed by merely giving it another name? The name of fear is simply a mistake. Let me not be afraid of the truth today. I will not be afraid of love today. Amen. I hope. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for, coming.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah. See you guys on Sunday.
Amen.
Bye, everyone.